to the. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We'd love to see all your faces here tonight, coming out on a rainy night. And tonight we're going to be doing the second part of weight loss. This is such an important topic. Now we're going to do some overlap. I'm going to do some overlap with what Scott had that wonderful lecture last week. And there are a few new people here, so Scott's going to kind of go over some of the issues with the building.
Yeah, so we just want to thank the Irving Grange for letting us use this space for free. So I always got to give thanks to them. Really great. And then for those that are, for those that are new, just in the back, with the front doors where you came in, there's the bathrooms are back there. So feel free anytime. You don't need to feel like you disrupt anything. Really informal. And then in the back, if you don't have the handouts, that's where all the handouts will be for class. If there's anything related to previous week or that this night's topic are there. Also our business cards with Eugene plant-based providers on one side and the Live Lifestyle Medicine website on the other side. You can pick up those. If you're planning to come multiple times, which we hope you guys do, can get you one of the permanent name tags. So you don't always have to use the little sticker ones all the time. We have that. And then we also have our lending library in the back. So you can check any of those books out for up to a month. And Elizabeth's in the back. She can fill out a little card for you and take those. So, and on the website, eugeneplantbasedproviders.com, we'll always have there's a schedule there where the sign up for these classes for anyone that else might be interested in coming is there. And then also on the livelifestylemedicine.com website, at the bottom of the homepage there is for the more extended class schedule. Is always going to be up to date there for these classes. So as you know, it's in person and online at the same time, kind of doing a hybrid version. And this is kind of a newer thing for us. We've always kind of done online classes, Charlie and I, since pandemic, basically, April of 2020. And then at the YMCA earlier this year, we started doing them in person and we were doing online at the same time. And it's moved into here, but then we just recently started just doing Friday in person, then online as a hybrid. So changing, trying to reach as many people as we can. And if there's any questions, also on the homepage of livelifestylemedicine.com is always the most recent class recording is there on the homepage. And then if you want to dive into the further back classes, if you haven't checked out the website, also on the homepage is something called the website tutorial. And so if you're not that familiar with the website, go to the website tutorial. There's a little 15-minute recording of myself giving you a tour of where everything is on the website, how to sign up for the newsletter if you haven't subscribed to that for every Sunday. Then do that. But that's all I had for Charlie take.
So a few questions for you, which we're going to start the meeting tonight. Why does dieting often not help with sustainable weight loss?
Don't do it in a safe way.
So not doing it in a safe way. I'm going to repeat some of this for the people online because they can't always hear. We'll get some microphones one of these days. Yes. Diet is short term. What happens? Has anybody had experience with dieting? Everybody has had some experience with dieting. And what are the results? Has anybody seen really good results with dieting?
But then I went back to
So you had good results for a while, and then you went back to the old ways. Why do you go back to the old ways? I mean, things are going along good, and then you go back to the old ways. What is not sustainable about these? What is it? You're hungry. You're hungry. You've been pushing away, you've been told what? To have smaller portions. So you cut the plate in half or you use you cut half the food onto the plate and you're feeling hungry. And after a while, what does your brain tell you? Yeah, you got to eat some more. And what do you wind up eating? Yeah, you wind up eating ice cream, for those of you who may not be able to hear in the background. We do need to get some microphone because these could be really fun classes with that. Okay, so what is the goal then here for all of you? Because you've tried these different diets, they haven't worked, and now you come to a class like this. Why is this class potentially different from these diets that you've been trying? Lifestyle. Okay, if you haven't gotten that message, we generally try not to use the word diet in these classes. It turns people off. Your brain kind of gets turned off by the use of those terms. So if you could think about this as we're going to class to learn some habit change and change our lifestyle, as opposed to we're going to the diet class on whole food, plant-based. I've heard people use that over and over again, and I think it might be a little bit of a barrier to actually make the changes that you're interested in making. You all got that? Okay, let's go on to the next question. How do you feel about your current weight? You don't have to answer me. I'm just having you think about this. What are the thoughts? What are the emotions connected with that? How do you talk to yourself about how you look, how you interact? Because those issues are so important. I must tell you, I have seen a lot of people, I've shown you this before. This is the people who have the cards and the letters and the emails because they benefited from coming to our classes together over the years. They've had amazing success, some of them, and some of them have had disappointing failures. Not so much in this folder. I've seen that happen. And so when I was thinking about this over the class, over the last couple of days, I was thinking, really, we're talking about weight loss. We need to talk about important things. We need to somehow get to understand why it is that some of us are successful and some of us fail over and over again. And I must tell you, if people are failing over and over again, I want to tell you that we are offering free consults for you to help you through this, that consults that you're not getting from your regular providers. If you need help, you send us an email, give us a call, and let us know, and we'll try to arrange. I'll spend time talking with you, do the best I can to coach you. I'm not going to play doctor, but I'm going to play coach, or we'll get a medical student who will work with you to help you on your path.
I
Yes.
think part of the problem is when you look at advertisements and magazines and what have you, is you'll be much healthier if you do this or that or the other thing, or this is the way you should look. And I think that that really contributes, I think mainly for women, maybe men too, but not men. But I think, you know, our society tries to tell us how we should be, and it adds to our own self-worth or lack of self-worth when it comes to our physical body.
So what you're saying is that the advertisements are telling us, and our cultural messages telling us what we should look like, and that contributes to our feelings, negative feelings generally, about how we are in this world. So what do we do to counteract that? Is some of the crux of how we're going to achieve behavioral change for ourselves. We've got to change those messages. We have to listen to different messages. We have to tell ourselves, we have to be positive with ourselves. And that may be hard, especially if we've had adverse childhood events in our life. You know, some really traumatic events that have occurred that follow us from the time we're young all the way into an older age that can lead to food addictions and other things. Scott's going to talk about food addictions next week. We kind of keep overlapping back and forth from one topic to another, but we're going to get on to the next. When is it, when it comes to a few triggers, what feelings, events, or occasions that sometimes cause you to make poor food choices? What is it? When you're tired. So you get tired, and that could be not adequate sleep or disturbing your circadian rhythms, can lead to the munchies, where you feel hungry. When else? Is it, what?
Self-urge.
I said sad.
When you're sad, when you're feeling sad, what is it that you get when you grab that? What do you grab? What is it? Ice cream. So ice cream is a common one. You grab the ice cream because you're feeling sad, and that ice cream changes your brain chemistry, increases the dopamine or whatever it does. And so you feel better that way for a while. And then what happens? You feel bad because you're gaining weight and you're not getting your goal of getting down to an ideal weight. What else? Celebrations. What? Birthday parties, weddings. Where else? Anniversaries. What do we serve during those times? Cake and ice cream and sweets galore. Yes? So has anyone developed a strategy yet to deal with those issues? Go ahead. One. So when you're bored, your mind tells you you're hungry or you need to do something, so you go eat. Another reason. Okay, we've gone over some of the reasons of why we may make some unhealthy choices.
I'm feeling so good, and I'm like, oh, I'll just treat myself. And then after that, it's like, oh, well, I treated myself last night. I'm still celebrating the next day.
So after, yeah, so she's doing really, really well, she says. And then after 2 or 3 days, I've done so good, I'm going to treat myself. Yeah. And so what are you treating yourself to is the question. You're treating yourself to, is it better health or not so better health? It's not reaching your goal. So if you want to treat yourself, how does reaching the summit of the mountain or reaching the goal of health, how does that sound in terms of patting yourself on the back after you've done 3 days? Maybe you could do 4, and maybe you could do a year. Maybe you could do 13 years. Like my wife and I, yes.
Well, what I think about stress is that you need to come up with a strategy of celebrating yourself. It doesn't involve food. Like, is it a lipstick? Is it something new to take, like a movie? And if you have those things lined out, then you start to go away from food as reward. Yeah. Food. Yeah, it's easy for me to say that. It's hard to do, but once you get on the app,
It's a good idea to have a list of things you have.
Yeah.
That I can't really have other books. You can buy them.
yeah.
So one of the strategies that's developed for those of you who are in the Zoom room, if you can't hear, is you have to develop other reward system other than food for those times that you want to reward yourself. It could be a good book, it could be some music, it could be some other experience, whatever works for you. Anybody else? Yes.
Going to have somebody to do it.
Okay, another suggestion, don't do this yourself. Having help is really important in this case. Having a buddy, having some other support system. It could be a class like this, perhaps, if you don't have anybody else who is, on board and understanding, who keeps providing barriers, bringing in the pop and the potato chips and whatever else they're bringing in, the sweets and the candies. You got to figure out a way to have help to do this. Okay. So, if you want something, maybe I'll go buy a watermelon. If food needs to be at the supreme gift for yourself, what kind of food would you choose to get? It would be in the low calorie density category. And watermelon fits the low calorie density. How many calories a pound? A pound of watermelon, about how many calories are you getting? Do you know? It's about 300. So you could eat a whole pound of watermelon. It would cost you a bit these days, but it would be so low in calorie density that it would still allow you to lose the weight and have the sweet treat that's making my mouth water right now as I talk about it. Okay. Yes.
Okay, you could also do smoothie, like dinner, fruits and vegetables.
So another food treat would be a smoothie where you're putting your favorite fruit and vegetables in there. And that's another suggestion. Very good. Yes. Yeah, so if you're using the whole fruit and you're grinding it up in the blender and not throwing out the fiber and not highly processing it, and then you freeze that into a popsicle, that's an excellent treat. There are so many creative ways in which you don't have to feel deprived in this world. The reason for your coming to these classes is not to feel deprived. Your goal here is to change to a lifestyle that not only you'll enjoy, and Scott makes a good point of this all the time. I think we're following Dean Ornish, that you have to find enjoyment in your change or it's not going to happen. And he's going to repeat that over and over. And I have taken it on a lot more since I first started talking about this many years ago. But I'm getting a better understanding of it. One last question for you all. Those of you who came last week, you learned about what? 2 words. Calorie density. Yes, it was just drilled into you. But we're not quite done. Because the question is if someone comes up to you, a friend, a relative, someone, a stranger, who says, I heard this statement, you have to eat more to weigh less. That doesn't make any sense at all. How would you explain that to them? And before you explain that to yourself, I want to play one video. Only because I can't keep the group who's waiting here in suspense much longer. we gotta try to have some fun with them also online. And let's see, here we go. Let's share the screen and we're gonna optimize it. And then let's see, where are we at? We are zoomed there, right here. And it's eating more to weigh less. We can turn the lights out, perhaps. You can all see this? Online? Good.
What happens if you have people add fruit to their regular diet? 3 apples or 3 pears a day as snacks between meals on top of whatever else they were eating. Fruit is low in calories, but not zero, so if you add food to people's diet, even healthy foods, won't they gain weight? No, they lost a couple pounds. Maybe it was all that fiber? If you remember, we learned our gut bacteria can create anti-obesity compounds from fiber. That's why they also had a cookie group. 3 apples, 3 pears, or 3 cookies with enough oats in them to have about the same amount of fiber as the fruit. Despite the fiber, adding cookies to one's diet does not lead to weight loss. They think the weight-reducing secret of fruit is its low energy density, meaning you get a lot of food for just a few calories, so it fills you up. Energy density is a relatively new concept that has been identified as an important factor in body weight control in both adults and in children and adolescents. Energy density is defined as the amount of calories per unit weight of a food or beverage. Water, for example, provides a significant amount of weight without adding calories. Fiber, too. Thus, foods high in fiber and water are generally lower in energy density. On the other hand, because dietary fat provides the greatest amount of calories per weight, foods high in fat are generally high in energy density. The CDC offers some examples. High-energy density foods are like bacon, lots of calories in a small package. A medium energy density food is like a bagel, and a low density food typified by fruits and vegetables. In general, the lower the better, with 2 exceptions. Soda is heavy, so heavy that by energy density it looks less harmful than it is, and nuts have so much fat they appear less healthy than they are. Otherwise, though, the science supports a relationship between energy density and body weight, such that consuming diets lower in energy density may be an effective strategy for weight control. This is because people tend to eat a consistent weight of food, so when there's less calories per pound, calorie intake is reduced. A small drop in energy density can lead to a small drop in weight, and the greater the decrease in energy density, the greater the weight loss. Energy density can be reduced in a variety of ways, such as the addition of fruits and vegetables to recipes, or by lowering the fat or sugar content. And indeed, that's how we evolved, eating predominantly low energy density foods, such as fruits, vegetables, plants, and tubers, starch-filled roots like sweet potatoes. The first study to emphasize how fruits and vegetables could affect energy density and food intake was conducted more than 30 years ago. Researchers were able to cut people's caloric intake nearly in half, from 3,000 calories a day down to 1,570 without cutting portions, just by substituting less calorie-dense foods, which means lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans, compared to a high-energy density meal with lots of meat and sugar. Nearly half the calories, but they enjoyed the meals just as much. They tried this in Hawaii, putting people on a traditional Hawaiian diet with all the plant foods they could eat. Lost an average of 17 pounds in just 21 days, resulting in better cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugars, and blood pressure. Caloric intake dropped 40%, but not by eating less food. In fact, they lost 17 pounds in 21 days eating more food, 4 pounds of food. But because plants tend to be so calorically dilute, one can stuff oneself without getting the same kind of weight gain. And the energy density of foods is of interest for weight management, not only because it allows people to eat satisfying portions while limiting calories, but also because reductions in energy density are associated with improved dietary quality. For example, lower energy-dense diets associated with lower risk of pancreatic cancer. Lower energy density foods tend to be healthier foods, so we get the best of both worlds.
Okay, we're gonna stop the share there. And I hope you all really understand this calorie density concept completely, that you can explain it to one of your neighbors or friends or family. You eat, you have a chart in front of you, eat down in the green area, and you can eat as much as you want, pretty much. Eat in the higher area with the bars are really getting up high in the red and in the orange, and you find yourself in trouble, or you find yourself frustrated because you're not getting the benefits that you want. You're getting what you're used to eating, so there may be some pleasure in that, but you want to be weighing the risk and benefits of all of that. Yes.
But it's what the sugar is in, is what I'm assuming, what makes it counterproductive for weight loss.
Well, so sugar is not potentially a high calorie density food. I believe you're right on that. However, sugar is because the fiber, when you get the pure sugar, you've stripped away the fiber generally. You've stripped away the other nutrients, and the sugar itself, it's my understanding, is inflammatory, not non-inflammatory in nature. So there are several issues with that. So if you're eating more sugar, your brain is like not wanting to eat fruit, real fruit with the fiber in it also. And that's important for your life.
Sugar
So
itself is actually 1,700. Very high.
But you don't eat a pound of sugar, you don't sit down and eat a pound.
Right, well, that's the whole point of calorie density. No matter how much you eat of food, the calorie density will never change. That's why calorie density, sugar is on the right-hand side, 1,700 calories a pound. So, and no matter how much vegetables you eat, it's always gonna be 100 calories. So it's always gonna be 17 times more calorie dense sugar than vegetables.
So did you get that online? It's 1,700 calories a pound for sugar. And so it is a high calorie density food. And just not something, it's like oil. You're not going to be eating a pound of oil, fat. But oils are 4,000 calories a pound. And it's over time. If you look at the statistics from our first lecture, the amount of oil that we've gone from that we partake in a year, it used to be in the 1900s, 4 pounds approximately of oil per person per year. It's now up to 30. So even though it's small amounts, it's more small amounts and it adds up over time. Correct. It's supposed to, sugar is supposed to lower your IQ. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it does cause inflammation. It's not a healthy thing. So eat the real food that has the sugar in it, like the fruit, if you want something sweet, is the bottom line. Any other questions before we go on? Yes. Yeah, so what about artificial sugars? They kind of fake your brain out a bit, and generally they're not recommended Because again, you get that really high blast of sugar, which says, I want that instead of the kind of pleasure you obtain from eating fruit or the sweets in your life. Like the sweetness that you might get from jicama, a root vegetable. You might not taste that if you're used to the stevia and some of the other.
What did you say about jicama?
Jicama has somewhat of a sweetness to it if you're not, if you, we avoid all sugar at our house. So when I slice up jicama in the morning with my breakfast, sometimes it's a little old and it's not so sweet, but many times it's like, oh man, my mouth is watering talking about it. Crunchy, sweet. Yes.
No, I was just kind of a bit more on this paper for this. Is stevia considered and the erythritol considered a bad sugar?
So erythritol, Dr. Greger used to recommend that as an alternative, but he doesn't do that any longer because there have been some problems. I can't remember what they are with it.
Yeah, not only about what Charlie said about the stimulating the brain, kind of, even though it's not raising your blood sugar because it's not really sugar, it still is telling your brain, oh, that's sweet, that's sweet. And so it still has that kind of chemical-like effect. And then the other reason is because the artificial sweeteners more recently have been shown, there's been a lot of studies on the gut microbiome, like it's huge right now. And so it's actually shown that the artificial sweeteners alter the gut microbiome in a bad way. So it's not, so it's really kind of looked at as the same as refined sugar, probably not any better. Yes, any of those. I mean, probably the one that would be, what a lot of us would say is the best one to use would be like date sugar.
Date sugar.
Because all it is dates ground up. So it's not really, but it's still going to be very sweet. And so it's still going to give you that. So if you're putting a lot of date sugar on everything, and you eat fruit, the fruit won't taste as sweet. So you might not enjoy the fruit as much because you're so used to eating the hyper concentrated sweeteners, even though it's pretty healthy. You know, it's just ground up dates, but.
Right.
Maple, real maple syrup, bad.
Dr. McDougall used to say maple syrup is okay, you know, if you're eating the whole plant foods a little bit. But again, it's a similar issue. It doesn't have any fiber connected with it. It's not quite as healthy as it could be. Not that it's totally bad. Okay. You need to have a little maple sugar occasionally. It may be okay depending on what your health is. Are we having fun yet? I mean, that's the goal here, is not only to learn, but to enjoy our learning, enjoy our food, have fun, enjoy in our life. Any other questions? Yes. Monk fruit, that's the latest, the greatest kind of what fruit? You know, that has a kind of a meaty texture, I think, also to it, or oh, there's a monk fruit sugar. I guess that would probably be okay, although I don't know how it's made, whether they strip out the fiber in it. Date sugar is what Greger is currently recommending. But monk fruit may be on the horizon. Okay? Good thought. 2 more questions, then we're going to go on, and if someone online has anything. Agave. Agave is a similar, it's, again, it sort of fakes your brain out a bit. So eat the cactus instead of the agave. That's healthy if you need.
Also, product date syrup, and it does have some fiber in it, and it's not like.
Okay, so there's a product date syrup. I don't know exactly how it's processed, how it's made. But it may be if you have to have it. Yes.
Well, I don't know if you are tea drinkers, but there's some really flavorful teas that you don't really need sugar in. And I've learned to not use sugar in any of my tea. Like,
So she's learned how not to use sugar in any of her teas because some of the teas are sweet.
well,
So
not sweet.
they have a flavor to them. Okay, they're not necessarily sweet. So yeah, you could do that. You trained yourself. How long did it take you to train yourself? Couple months. It usually takes exposure to a food about, I don't know, 10 to 15 times until your body starts believing, hey, this is food for me and I like it. Okay, that's why it takes a while for kids to learn to enjoy their food. All right, we're getting on to the next issue. What is the next issue? The next issue has to do with, is being overweight beneficial to your health? There have been some studies. There have been some news reports. Anybody heard those news reports that having more weight may be helpful for you? And would that be confusing to those of us in this room? Yes, you've heard it. Osteoporosis and other things. Okay, so let me play the video that Gregor has. I got to get down on my knees here. Been painting my garage and I'm kind of getting used to this now. We're gonna share. Yeah. All right. Share the screen. How do I get from here back to the table? Huh. Stop sharing the screen. View. Speaker. Huh. I can't get to my desktop. How do I get to my desktop? I better not end the class. Huh? I've got a exit full screen, and then here we go. The wonders of technology here. So this is the obesity paradox real or a myth? Here we go.
Martin Luther King Jr. warned that human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. And the same may be true of the human lifespan. In the 1800s, life expectancy was less than 40, but it's been steadily increasing for the last 2 centuries, getting about 2 years per decade. That is, until recently. Longevity gains have faltered or even reversed. Thanks to the obesity epidemic, we may now be raising the first American generation to live shorter lives. Okay. The downward trend, longevity, is expected to accelerate as the current younger generation, started out heavier and earlier than ever before, ages into adulthood. If the obesity epidemic continues unchecked, current trends signal a potential looming social and economic catastrophe. In the coming decades, some particularly may lose 2 to 5 or more years of life expectancy in the United States. I mean, to put that into perspective, a miracle cure for all forms of cancer would only add 3.5 years to the average American lifespan. In other words, reversing the obesity epidemic might save more lives than curing cancer. The evidence being overweight increases your risk for debilitating diseases like diabetes is considered indisputable. But surprisingly, there's controversy surrounding body weight and overall mortality. In 2015, a CDC scientist published a meta-analysis in the Journal of the American Medical Association suggesting being overweight was actually advantageous. Yes, grade 2 or 3 obesity, like being average height, 5'6" and weighing about 215 plus pounds, was associated with living a shorter life. But grade 1,
can't see the video in Zoom.
5 to 215 pounds at that was not, and just being overweight, 155 to 185, appeared to be protected compared to those who were normal weight. Fine. The overweight individuals, BMI 25 to 30, appeared to live the longest. Headline writers were giddy. Being overweight can extend your life. Writing your diet, don't worry, plump people live longer. Extra pounds might mean lower chance of death. Not surprisingly, the study ignited a firestorm of controversy in the public health community. The study was called ludicrous, flawed, misleading. The chair of nutrition at Harvard lost his cool, calling the study really a pile of rubbish, fearing the food industry might exploit this study in the same way the petroleum industry misuses controversy over climate change. Public health advocates can't just dismiss data they find inconvenient, though. I mean, science is science. But how could being overweight increase the risk of life-threatening diseases, yet at the same time make you live longer? This became known as the obesity paradox. The solution to the puzzle appears to lie with two major sources of bias. The first being confounded by smoking. The nicotine in tobacco can lead to weight loss. So if you're skinnier because you smoke, well, then no wonder you live a shorter life with a slimmer weight. The failure to control for the effect of smoking, studies purporting to show an obesity paradox, leads to the dangers of obesity being grossly overestimated. The second major source of bias is reverse causality. Instead of lower weight leading to life-threatening diseases, it's more likely that life-threatening diseases are leading to lower weight. Conditions such as hidden tumor, chronic heart and lung disease, alcoholism, and depression can all cause unintentional weight loss months or even years before they're even diagnosed. It's normal to be overweight in this country, right? So people who are abnormally thin, in other words, ideal weight, I mean, could actually be taking care of themselves, right? But maybe heavy smoker, elderly and frail, or seriously ill with weight loss from their disease. To put the obesity paradox issue to the test once and for all, the Global BMI Mortality Collaboration is formed, reviewing data for more than 10 million people from hundreds of studies, dozens of countries, the largest evaluation of BMI mortality in history. To help eliminate bias, they omitted smokers and those with known chronic disease, and then excluded the first 5 years of follow-up to try to remove from the analysis those with undiagnosed conditions who lost weight due to an impending death. And the results were clear. Being overweight and all grades of obesity were associated with a significantly greater risk of dying prematurely. So adjusting for these biases leads to eliminating the obesity paradox altogether. In other words, the so-called obesity paradox appears to be just a myth. Indeed, when intentional weight loss is actually put to the test, people live longer. There are bariatric surgery studies like the SOS trial. They show weight loss reduces long-term mortality, and randomizing people to weight loss through lifestyle changes shows the same thing. Now, losing a dozen pounds through diet and exercise was found to be associated with a 15% drop in overall mortality. Now, I mean, exercise alone may extend the lifespan even without weight, but there also appears to be a similar longevity benefit, weight loss through dietary means.
Okay,
Now, will we be able to see that on the recording?
yes, you will. And we'll be happy to share with you any of the video names and those sorts of things. You could take a screenshot when I go to the next
He
issue.
talks a little fast.
He does talk a little fast, and you'll be able to see that video again. Now, I hope that clears up a bit of the confusion. And I hope the message is that this is not fat shaming. This is just recognizing that being overweight has health risks associated with it. And that we should be addressing that issue as a culture. How are we trying to address it? How are the drug companies trying to address it? It's on TV every night. Yeah, the big O, Ozempic. You know, everybody. In fact, in Bowling Green, Kentucky, I learned listening to NPR that 4% of the city's population has been on Ozempic, the $10,000 to $15,000 a year medication to Gila monster venom that causes people to be nauseated and sick. Not everyone gets deathly ill, but when I listened to John McDougall, or when I did, He makes a good case for you make people sick enough or nauseated, they lose their appetite, they lose weight. But when you stop it, what happens? You gain it right back. So it's really not a great strategy overall.
It's the venom of it.
Yeah, it's made from Gila monster.
Also,
You like rat poisoning, yes. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. All right, let's go on to the next topic. Or we have a lot of things to talk about today. How many think that it wouldn't make too much difference if you had like maybe meat 1 or 2 times a month? It's called flexitarian. Would that make a difference in your weight if you only kind of altered what you were choosing to eat 1 or 2 times a month? Anybody say, yes, it would make a huge difference? Yes, or no, it shouldn't make a huge difference. Okay, you don't have to raise your hand either online or in here. We're going to get to see the video of actually who has ideal body weight for the people studied. Is it the people who eat standard American diet? Is it the flexitarians? Is it the vegetarians? Let's find
Did you
out.
talk about flexitarians last week?
What's that?
Did you talk about flexitarians last week? Because I wasn't here.
No, we didn't talk last week about flexitarians. We're just bringing it up. I just wanted to introduce that term to you before I play another Gregor video here. And I'm not exactly sure why I continue to have, there it is. Okay. Here it is, right here. Thousands of vegans studied. Here we go.
So how do you prevent it? The first study in human history of thousands of vegans was just published in the Journal of the American Diabetes Association. Thousands of U.S. vegans studied for the first time ever. First, let's compare weights. A BMI over 30 is considered obese, between 25 and 30 overweight, and they used to call under 25 normal weight, but it's no longer the norm. The average BMI in this country is now 28.8. The first question is, where do flexitarians fall? A flexitarian is a flexible vegetarian who in this study is defined as someone who eats meat once or twice a month, but is basically vegetarian. Where did they fall? 3 choices. Heavier than meat eaters, lighter than meat eaters but still overweight, or on average not overweight at all. So do you think they found flexitarians to be fatter than regular meat eaters? Do you think those who only eat meat a few times a month are skinnier than meat eaters but still on average overweight? Or do you think if we cut down our meat consumption that low, our weight should normalize? This is America. Even the flexitarians are overweight. But what about the full-time vegetarians, though? Same basic 3 choices. Do you think vegetarians turned out fatter than flexitarians? Do you think those who don't eat meat are skinnier than those who do, but still, on average, are overweight? Or do you think if you just cut out meat, you'll lose the excess fat? This is America. Even the vegetarians are overweight. But, surprisingly, they are a significantly healthier weight than those who eat meat even only a few times a month. You can see where the trend is going. What if those vegetarians cut out dairy and eggs? Would they lose enough weight to become the only dietary group in North America that's actually not overweight? You tell me. Do you think cutting out dairy and eggs makes you gain weight? Do you think it would make you lose, but not enough to make that cutoff? Or do you think populations need to cut out meat and dairy and eggs to achieve a healthy weight? This is America, and that means only the vegans are on average a healthy weight. And that's like a 40-pound spread between vegans and meat eaters, which is pretty dramatic. But but maybe it's not their diet. Maybe vegans just tend to exercise more. No, they carefully measured activity levels, and if anything, the vegans in this study exercised less than the meat eaters. Lazy vegans, but still, on average, 40 pounds lighter.
So it's a bigger, somebody who doesn't eat vegan, but a vegetarian does.
Okay, so vegan, vegetarians do eat, can eat eggs and dairy products. Um, Well, they be eating eggs? Yeah, I think they're eating eggs, vegetarians.
Lacto vegetarian or pescatarian.
Yeah, and vegans have no eggs, no dairy, no meat, no animal products whatsoever. Now, there are two groups of those people. There is a group of whole plant food people. Who are they? There's one over there. There's one over here. There's a number of people in here that are eating foods as they're grown in nature. You can pick it off the tree, you can pull it out of the ground, you can chop it off like the whole grains, the oats and the wheat and that sort of thing. And it's very minimally processed. But if you become, you can be a vegan that eats a lot of junk food. So what are junk food vegans? French fries with all the oil, that Oreo cookies. Anybody else? What is it? Captain Crunch is vegan. And it's filled with sugar. That is not healthy just to be vegan. It's healthy to be eating foods as they're grown in nature, minimally processed, not encouraging you to eat highly processed just because it's a plant food. That includes, there are some transition foods that help people transition from the standard American diet fare to a whole food plant-based, and that would be what? The fake cheese, the fake meats. The what was that?
Impossible.
The Impossible Burger. Those things are not what we would call the most health promoting foods. They would be like in the yellow category.
Processed, like an impossible, but it has to be processed.
Right. And so we're not encouraging people to do that, but some people need that to transition. Like they're just not willing to say, I'm done with meat, I'm done with dairy, I'm done with eggs. I'm transitioning. So I'll eat some of those that aren't quite as healthy on my road to changing my taste buds. So if you do that for a month or two, or whatever it takes you, 6 months or a year to make a transition, some people can do it in a day. Other people, it can take years potentially, whatever happens. Yes. Well, there's a blood type diet, which is a book that's out, which promotes eating certain foods based upon your blood type, but it's not based on evidence-based science.
Harder for, because I had some people say, oh, I just have to have meat because it's that.
Yeah, has Gregor shown any studies that demonstrate a certain blood type requires a certain diet? And my response is, I've not seen that. How about you, Scott? Scott has not seen it either.
And the Gundry plant paradox is based on the similar science, which is not good.
Any other questions that we have from the group? Okay, we're quieting the room. I just have a few more videos for you. And then we'll also have time for a few more questions. And so hopefully, let's see, what am I going to do next? I got to share my screen here. So go to share screen and come along here. And then come over here. This is working now. My brain is in gear. It looks like. So we talked a little bit about flexitarian, and let's see if the kind of meat that you choose might make a difference. It's called chicken, poultry, and obesity.
We know vegetarians have considerably lower obesity rates compared to those that eat meat, but why? Is it because they're not eating meat, or because they're eating more plants, or maybe they're just eating fewer calories or exercising more? This study controlled for all that. In essence, they took men and women who ate the same number of calories a day, ate the same amount of vegetables and fruit, grains, same amount of exercise, but ate different amounts of meat. Men and women who ate less than a single serving a day of meat were on average not overweight, but the more meat they ate, the heavier they were, and by 1.5 servings a day, they crossed the threshold, a BMI of 25, to become officially classified as overweight. Which type of meat was the worst? If you remember back to that study of hundreds of thousands of men and women, poultry consumption appeared to be the worst. But maybe it was reverse causation, meaning obesity led to greater chicken consumption, not the other way around. This new study controlled for that, adjusting for dietary habits, yet found the same thing. Chicken consumption was most associated with weight gain in both women and men, and it didn't take much. And compared to those who didn't eat any chicken at all, those eating about 20 or more grams of chicken a day had a significantly greater increase in their body mass index. That's around 1 chicken nugget, or a single chicken breast once every 2 weeks, compared to no chicken at all.
So what are you told to eat? Chicken, right? Okay, anybody been told by their registered dietitian or by their doctor, eat chicken instead of red meat, whatever? Yeah? Okay, yes. All right, I can play it again. Here we go. Sorry about that. Here we go. One more time.
We know vegetarians have considerably lower obesity rates compared to those that eat meat, but why? Is it because they're not eating meat, or because they're eating more plants, or maybe they're just eating fewer calories or exercising more? This study controlled for all that. In essence, they took men and women who ate the same number of calories a day, ate the same amount of vegetables and fruit, grains, same amount of exercise, but ate different amounts of meat. Men and women who ate less than a single serving a day of meat were on average not overweight, but the more meat they ate, the heavier they were, and by 1.5 servings a day, they crossed the threshold, a BMI of 25, to become officially classified as overweight. Which type of meat was the worst? If you remember back to that study of hundreds of thousands of men and women, poultry consumption appeared to be the worst. But maybe it was reverse causation, meaning obesity led to greater chicken consumption, not the other way around. This new study controlled for that, adjusting for dietary habits, yet found the same thing. Chicken consumption was most associated with weight gain in both women and men, and it didn't take much. And compared to those who didn't eat any chicken at all, those eating about 20 or more grams of chicken a day had a significantly greater increase in their body mass index. That's around 1 chicken nugget, or a single chicken breast once every 2 weeks, compared to no chicken at all.
Doesn't take much to interfere with your health. I'm gonna stop the share there for a moment. And are there any questions?
I
Okay.
have a question. What do you think about intermittent fasting?
Of what?
Intermittent fasting.
What do we think about intermittent fasting? So intermittent fasting can be helpful for weight loss for a certain group of people. And I guess the first step would be first choose healthy foods. If you just choose healthy foods, you may not have to do the intermittent fasting. I choose to kind of do an intermittent fasting by, it helps me restrict the amount of food I take by saying, I'm going to eat breakfast, a big one, like a king. I'm going to eat a small bunch, like a queen. And at dinner, I'm going to eat like a pauper. And after dinner at 5 or 6 o'clock, I'm done. So then there will be a period from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So I wake up around 8 o'clock. That's what, 14 hours? I think 16 hours has been shown to have maybe the best benefit, but I do about a 14-hour myself. I'm not obsessed about it, but I just don't like to eat again at night. I brush my teeth at 6 o'clock. I've gotten in the habit. I want to brush them again before I go to bed. So I've kind of talked myself into it that way. You know, stop eating after you get done with dinner, and don't torture yourself with what am I going to eat tonight? Is it going to be popcorn? Is it going to be the chocolate bar? Is it going to be whatever it might be? I'm done. It's 6 o'clock. I'm like an animal out in the African safari land. And, you know, I had my daylight to go hunting, and at night I'm sleeping. Just a thought.
I
Yes.
think one of the things that you said in passing is to all of this, and that's you created a habit. You created a habit not to eat past 6 o'clock. Your habit is to brush your teeth. With that, habits can serve us really well, or the opposite.
Yes, absolutely. So that brings us to one more little video on yeah, well, there's a series, habits, and then it'll be mind in your health is coming up after that. And so these are really important topics for sure. So we're going to share the screen again, and we're going to get on to, let's see if I can get my video up here. And it is going to be we're back to calorie density for a moment. Just a little brief, I mean, you know, we're really trying to drill this into your brain and give you images, which you may remember, and kind of jumping around a little. But
being aware of the energy density of foods is of tremendous value when it comes to controlling our body weight. And I have this simple little illustration to show you just how important it is. Here I have two food items. Exhibit A, the humble carrot, and Exhibit B, a chocolate bar. Also with me I have two friends, Tish and Heather, who have generously offered to eat and run, or at least eat and walk. Now what we're going to explore is how long does it take to burn off the energy contained within these food items. Now Tish, you get the carrot, and Heather, you get the chocolate bar. Bon appetit. Okay, Tish, you can stop. It's been 5 minutes and you've now burned off all the energy contained within that carrot that you consume. So you can relax. Heather, even though I asked you to jog, you've still got some time to go. Stick with it. can stop. Well done, well done. You know, you have been running now for about 27 minutes and you've burned off all the energy contained within that chocolate bar. Now, the reason I got you to run as compared to walk like Tish is that it would have taken you near on an hour to burn off the energy contained within that food item. And the reason being is that a chocolate bar is about 10 times more dense than the carrot. As you can see, the energy density makes a huge difference. And if you're interested in controlling your body weight, opt for foods that are of low energy density. And for the most part, these are whole plant-based foods as grown.
Okay. So for the next segment, I want to go over a little bit of the causes of obesity. Can anybody name why people get overweight? Just, I've got about 8 on my list here. Anybody think of one?
Sedentary.
Sedentary, lack of physical activity, eating, yes, unhealthy eating behaviors. Stress, high amounts of stress. Yes. Not getting enough good quality sleep. Menopause potentially. Health conditions like decreased thyroid or Cushing's syndrome. Cushing's is where you get increased amount of cortisone produced by a tumor in your adrenal gland, and that causes you to get overweight. What happens when you have chronic stress? Your body kicks out excess cortisone continually, adding to the weight. Genetics may play a role. Medicines, antidepressants. You're on an antidepressant, you can gain weight. It's one of the side effects of that. And then your environment can make a big difference in what you actually keep in there. So those are a lot of issues, which makes this very complicated. It makes it so that even if you choose calorie-dense foods appropriately, if you have uncontrolled stress, you're not getting adequate sleep because you have sleep apnea, it could be problematic. So I guess the message that I want to give you is one of hope that says just because you haven't discovered yet how to get yourself to where you want to be, that you could step by step maximize all these issues over time. Sounds like a large mountain to climb, but if you achieve your health, it will be worth the effort that you make. And with that said, I want to play one more video for you, which is by this Darren, who you just listened to. And I just need to get onto sharing my screen first. I'm starting to learn how to do this, actually. It's called a challenge, the CHIP Challenge. CHIP is a complete health improvement program. It's where I got some of my initial training. It was a series of 18 classes, and I learned so much from it. And then we decided to get some videos from Gregor and other places and not have to charge people for it. But he has some good words to say, and so I want to share this with you.
Well, I would like to issue you a challenge. Do you like challenges? I hope so. This challenge is just for 1 month. Not asking you to sign your life away or make a lifelong commitment. I'm just saying for 1 month, I would like you to conduct an experiment on yourself. An experiment to see what happens if you make radical shifts to the way that you eat and the way that you move. Well, for the next month, I want to challenge you to move as far up the end towards the optimal zone as you're able. And simultaneously, change the way that you move. Break up your prolonged periods of sitting. Engage in moderate intensity physical activity, 30 minutes or more each day if you can. And what I will tell you is the extent to which you make changes is the extent to which you can expect improvements. And there's a particular group of people that I specifically want to talk to. And you'll know that if you're one of these, but there are some of us that need to make substantive changes to our health. You know, you find yourself in a ditch, and you may have been in that ditch for some period of time. And yeah, you've made attempts to get out there, but they may have been small attempts, and it's like sort of taking these tiny little leaps trying to escape. And it actually becomes demotivating after a while. The best way to escape a ditch is to make a quantum leap. And so if you're one of those people that you know that you need to make those changes, I really want to encourage you over the next month as a self-experiment, give this a go. Change the way that you eat, change the way that you move, and you may well discover that this is a journey in a transformation towards living more.
You know, you can do a little bit like so, little gradual changes won't necessarily provide you with those major changes you're looking for. Quantum leaps may be difficult to do. You know, we've got our habits, we're comfortable with them. Each of us has to decide what works for us. And if one doesn't work for you, don't give up. Think about trying the other. Get a coach. You want to learn to play tennis or learn to swing a golf club or play the piano. Get a coach, a buddy. Have them help you on this. Keep coming to classes. Learn as much as you can. Yes. Yeah, so there are several good books back there Elizabeth has. There are cookbooks on this side. There are educational books, and one of the best educational books is How Not to Die by Michael Greger. It's a big, thick book, but the science is very interesting and fascinating, and you can read a little few pages and then go do something else. You don't have, it's not like a novel that you have to spend a full hour with to kind of get the gist. I'd encourage you to do what I encourage everybody I kind of interact with. Download Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. It's a free app on your phone, and it lays out healthy food choices and the amounts. His Daily Dozen incorporates 3 servings of legumes, half a cup is a serving, 4 servings of fruit, 1 of them of berries, 5 servings of vegetables, 3 of them are green in color, and 3 servings of whole grain. And then there's like some brown flax seeds, there's spices, a quarter cup of nuts, and water for adequate hydration, exercise, vitamin B12. It's all listed there. You can follow that, and gives you ideas about what are the healthy food choices. Daily Dozen, Dr. Greger's Daily. So there's a podcast on Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine, pcrm.com.org.
I get a daily whatever for that on my email.
There's also on the plant-based-providers.com website, there's a section on podcasts and that you can go to also, and movies, documentaries, and also on the livelifestylemedicine.com website, the class website. Go on the homepage, watch the tutorial I have recorded, because there it goes over all the different resources that are on the website with cookbooks and just reading books and other resources, free cooking class online, and just tons and tons of stuff we built up on that website over time. So check that out as
Well,
well.
I must have signed up on his website because I get something every day.
For Dr. Greger? Yeah.
Yeah, you can sign up and go to nutritionfacts.org. And there are so many things that you can do. You don't want to really get overwhelmed. You want to pick one or two and then grab a coach, send us an email, get you a number, an email address, and we'll have a little chat with you to make sure in a week that things are going along good. A week or two after that, whatever works for you.
This one's not signing. Or are they already?
No, but yeah, you just go to, I think all those podcasts you mentioned are on
They're on the-
plantbasedproviders.com. There's a section there for podcasts. I think those are all there.
Because I didn't quite catch it.
Yes.
Gregor's book.
Yeah, Gregor's book is also Audible. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody online here that has a question or anything that they want to ask also? We're kind of monitoring how things are going.
The other podcast is Rich Roll has got a good podcast. Yeah, he's more broad. Does other topics besides nutrition stuff.
We'll get to you in a moment. Edward online.
Have you heard about the exercise paradox?
Have we heard about the exercise? I haven't.
Or as far paradox as far as what? More exercise, more weight, or what are you referring to?
I saw a video on it recently from someone I trust. But I think the gist of it was that if you overperform in exercise, like you like go overboard, then you don't actually get more benefit.
Yeah, so you may get injuries instead. So, however, most of us don't have that problem. Most of us are way under exercising, but if you happen to be in that marathon group or the Olympiad athlete,
Okay.
you know, that would be the group, that would be the overexercise, or maybe a weekend warrior kind of situation is not particularly the most healthy thing to do.
Okay.
Do regular exercise. You know, we eat every day for your health. I eat every day for my health. I sleep every day for my health. I walk or exercise every day for my health. I don't do it on just the weekend. It's for my health. Thanks for the question. Next. Yes.
There's often at the top of your screen, seeing option, you can slowly down so that you can listen to listen and really absorb it. Sometimes it's just so that
Yeah.
He also has a transcript. So if you hit play the video, you can scroll down below the video and there's a transcript. And so you can just click on that and you can just read what he says. So they can read his, yeah.
Good thought. Gregor has a ability on his site to slow down his voice. Or on Chrome. Okay. Slow it down. Yes, good point. Anything else? Yes. Oh,
Eureka.
Eureka. Is Eureka around, Edward?
She's in the other room in her cage.
Oh, she's in the other room. Okay. Eureka is his pet parrot he usually has on his shoulder. And in the past, so anyway, she's a star. We're having fun, obviously, with this. Huh? Well, we're trying to spread the word
Bring more
throughout the
people.
community.
Everyone's challenge is to bring more friends and family in here. we have
So
more of us.
whatever we can do to keep expanding, this room is plenty good size to keep expanding. We're not cramped by any means. When I was down in Roseburg, we had class sizes, the largest was 80 people. And you know, that's a much smaller community than Eugene Springfield, but it took several years to develop enough people to be coming. And there was a organization that really was promoting it, and it was a Seventh-day Adventist church that we was doing the promotion, and they had they just spread throughout the community pretty quickly. We haven't quite reached enough doctors, other providers, and organizations to get our class sizes there, but we're working on it.
And besides these more formal classes, we're planning to do going forward. We'll have a movie. We'll just show a movie one Friday night. We'll have a potluck another Friday night. We'll have other things that we'll do, try to do more small group sessions and stuff, integrate that into the classes and just to make it more dynamic than just, Charlie and I up here talking all the time. And then we have other Eugene plant-based providers that do talks. We have Kristen Linsmeyer, who's a cardiologist. She's going to be doing some talks. And the week we're gone in September to go to a plant-based conference in California, where we'll have Kathy Meldrum, who's a physical therapist. She'll talk about exercise, and we have ones on sleep, and we have actually part 2 of your food and mental health, how our mind affects our health. We actually have a retired psychology professor from the University of Oregon as part of our group that's going to do a talk. And so we have a lot. So it'll be a lot of dynamic topics and stuff. Pam Burrell. Yeah. She actually was my son got a psychology degree at U of O, and she was the one that gave him his diploma, his college degree, and hugged her on the stage. So when I told her, oh, she's joining our group, and oh my gosh, yeah, I had 2 classes with her. So,
What hours you?
but yeah, good. Yeah. So tomorrow and Sunday, where there's the Eugene Health and Wellness Expo. This is our 3rd year. We have a booth there for Eugene plant-based providers, and so tomorrow it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then on Sunday it's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Charlie and I are going to do a presentation at 3 p.m. tomorrow for an hour, and then on Sunday at 2 p.m. for an hour. So even though you've kind of already heard stuff, we'd love to have you there, just to, because a lot of times when we've done it the last 2 years, sometimes there's a few people around, sometimes there's a bigger crowd. So when you know how it works when more people are there, even if you guys already know us and know what we're going to say,
Yeah.
more people are there. Oh, that must be something interesting. Let's go over there.
Yeah.
At the Lane County Fairgrounds. So it's at those, the buildings, the expo halls 1, 2, and 3 that are right where the animals usually are, kind of ironically, where they do the animals for the prizes for the pigs and all that. It's right there, and it's free. Yeah, it's free.
It's also where they gave workshops.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
right, yeah.
What times they get started?
Yeah, so
Sunday at
tomorrow
2.
at 3, Sunday at 2 is when we're doing our talk. But our booth will be there at the booth.
What's the name of the whole program?
The Eugene Health and Wellness Expo. Yeah, I did see that commercial on TV. They've been advertising it.
Yes. We alter it according to the audience.
I was gonna say, I think last year we did
It was pretty much the same thing for both.
kind of tell our stories a little bit, and then Charlie shows some of the basic introduction slides and stuff about.
Our foods have changed and that you get enough protein when you eat plants and that sort of
These
thing.
people are coming in cold, it's like, you guys have been seasoned a little bit, So people are like, what are these crazy guys talking about?
So is there anything that we haven't addressed about weight loss other than how to change your mind and your thoughts so that you can get the success you want with this. And that's coming up over the next several weeks. We're going to be spending time on what you could potentially do to help you out. Because it's not necessarily an easy thing, or you'd already have it accomplished. Yeah?
For those who weren't here last week, I also, since Charlie talked about the Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen app, he also has on that app 21 tweaks for weight loss. So his How Not to Diet book, which was his second book after How Not to Die, he had, it's a whole, if you want to have to read the whole book, he has all the science in there boiled down to the 21 tweaks for weight loss. And so it's all on the app also. So you can kind of start integrating those things too. Besides, calorie density is just one of those 20 tweaks. So there's a lot. And it's really amazing because a lot of the studies that he gets the recommendations from were really good, well done studies, randomized trials, really high levels of evidence, but it never saw the light of day to the general public because there was no money to be made. It's like something that's cost pennies a day, a spice, some vinegar, all these different little things that could actually make, maybe it's not going to make a huge difference, but all those things add up to help you with weight loss. And you never heard about it because there was no marketing behind it, because there was no one's going to make any money off of it. So, but it's good still in the literature and the data. So.
The new people, just kind of curious, how did you find out about the classes? So we know who to advertise with. Yes. Tracy, good.
Word of
Thank you,
mouth.
Tracy, for bringing a friend. Anybody else? Irving Grange, which is good. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I found out from Sherry Bosch.
Sherry Bosch, okay.
Thomas Bosch's wife, they
Registered dietitian. We're good for tonight.
Thank you
Looking
so much.
forward to having you next week. Yeah, so
You can
what do we do with these?
We want to collect them.
Thanks.
That's really good. And that's, people have to remember to bring.
Okay.
Yeah, so then you. Talking about the regulators, fire, back and forth. So, maybe. She was trying to get this lunch program. Thank you. Cut her off. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I know, that's not a. I just thought that was it. Yeah, that is. I didn't expect it. Yeah. Yeah.
I got, yeah, I got a picture. All right. If you want to, then thank you very much. All right, that was fun. Yeah, no, leave the chairs. Leave the chairs up and those other tables, with the tablecloth they're using tomorrow. Okay? So it's, an easy fix. Oh, gosh. Thank you, you too.